So, Matt, first and foremost, thanks for dropping by when it comes to the education about Thomas County Central. For those that may not know, how would you describe what soccer currently means there, whether we're talking middle school, high school, the whole thing? How would you describe how it is as a part of the fabric there?
Yeah, I mean, I think in South Georgia for the most part, I've been here, played my college career here at Thomas University. So I think it's woven into what we have in South Georgia with just not just Thomas University as well, but you add in Valdosta State, those kind of things. I think it is a big proponent of what we have going on. I can speak specifically to Thomas County Central, but we had a couple of middle school games this week. We had the high school programs come out and support them. We are fortunate to have two middle school teams for both the boys and the girls, and everyone's there showing support for the entire program. So I think that means and shows a lot for what the kids value between the coaches and themselves.
So, obviously there with the Nighthawks, you know what it means. What has it been like since you were in college? What has it been like to see the growth get to where it is now across all levels of the academic spectrum?
Yeah, I mean, I think with the uprising of some other clubs, right? We're pretty close to Tallahassee, so we battle that challenge with those clubs there. But we have a local club, Thomas Area Soccer Association, or TASA, and I think the growth there has been phenomenal. I've coached in that club now twice, so I think we're getting more and more of those kids who were there in and around the surrounding high schools or middle schools to be a part of that. And I think that's just helping all the middle school and high school programs continue to develop.
And so, how long a time frame are we talking here from that you've been able to see it grow?
So I graduated Thomas University 2012,
Okay.
moved back up here in 2015. So 10-ish plus years.
Yeah. So, obviously, we get the opportunity to see how the game has been growing as you have from a statewide level. And we like to look at it from as many different perspectives as possible. What has it been like for you there in 5A now currently? I mean, it's currently now 5A until everybody
Yeah.
reclassifies. But in Region 1, whether we're talking 6A, 5A, everything down south of the Nat line, what has it been like to see where do you think the state of play is on the high school level there south of the Nat line?
Um, I think there's still some challenges, right, in your outlying areas. I think it comes down to similar things that we talked about in the coaching clinic that we went to. You have the student population that you have, and you've got to do what's best for that student population in your school. And that means sometimes your team may not be like a 6, 7A school in terms of talent, but we still have some talented kids in all aspects of all sports in this area. I think it's just going to be very similar to what we did with this coaches clinic, is getting coaches more involved in that kind of stuff to continue educating ourselves to better all the student athletes.
What'd you learn about yourself in that clinic?
I mean, honestly, I've been through quite a few of those coaches clinics before. This one really, to me, showed me the breakdown of how to build small and end big, right? You have an end big picture of what you're trying to do, whether it's pre-game prep, pattern of play, whatever that may be. Start small, explain it small, and then continue to add in the pieces until you see the whole big picture of what you're trying to get to, and trying to just incorporate that into your session plans week in, week out, day in, day out.
When it comes to your teaching slash coaching,
Yeah.
when you're looking at things formationally, how deep into those kinds of conversations do you get? Or with the talent pool that you have, is it kind of dialed back to be fairly basic? Where are you when it comes to level of experience that you get to teach and continue to coach up there at Thomas County Central?
Yeah, I think you don't know until you know, right? So always start basic. We see where we are, fundamentally as a group. You may have 4 or 5 kids that know it backwards and forwards, but what about the kids who don't, right? They may not have had the same coaching, I guess, not background, but experiences that other kids have had. So you always have to kind of dial it back a little bit and go through those building blocks just to make sure everyone's on the same page. Because again, it's not an individual sport, right? It's an 18, 20 person plus team sport. can only play 11 at a time. So everyone's got to be on the same page when you're doing that kind of stuff. So I find that you have to go through those building blocks.
How many folks were last season? I know that you're probably getting close to, or you're into tryouts right now, getting ready for 26. How many folks were active on your rosters last year, and are the numbers similar this year?
I don't have the actual numbers for the high school side. I know last year on the middle school side, we had two full teams plus a training team. Middle school wise, we had 75 kids try out on the
Oh, wow.
boys side.
Oh, wow.
We ended up taking roughly 40 between two teams. So we basically made a seventh and eighth grade team and a sixth and seventh grade team. That's super competitive, I think, on both aspects of it. We got wiggle room to have some of those younger kids possibly get into the older team, just depending on how they're performing. But I think what we're trying to do over there is make it one program, right? So everyone's at training together. We're training the same way. We're doing the same things, even if we're splitting up. It's the same dynamic. It's the same two coaches. Um, all home games. Everyone's there supporting each other. And again, like I said, going back to this week alone, the high school kids even came out and supported it, which I thought was awesome.
And one of the other things that we get to notice when we cover the state from a high school perspective at SDH is we get to see it grow in places like Fitzgerald. We get to see it grow in places like Pearson at Atkinson County. And we get to see what it's like at a place like Jeff Davis and Hazelhurst, where it has taken off there. We get to see how it's translated to a place like Richmond Hill in 1-6A, and what Wintersville might look like for activity now these days with what we're seeing with Ben and Cody and what's going on over at Lowndes. Is it the same when it comes to red school, blue school with Bulldogs and Jackets right now? What is that dynamic like?
Yeah, I mean, we got a pretty healthy dose, right? We play Thomasville middle school wise on Wednesday. They've got a pretty solid group over there. And obviously, it's always going to be a rival, right? In town rival. Um, all the kids know each other, the coaches know each other pretty well. So, yeah, there's going to be a little bit of extras in there. But at the end of the day, I think we all know it's just going to be a competitive battle. Um, and it's always a good game. During the 60 or 80 minutes, depending high school, middle school. Yeah, it's a battle, but afterwards they're all hugging and high fiving and back to being friends. So I think that's great for not just Thomasville. I think it's great for like Valdosta with Valdosta and Lounge. So I think it's great. It's a good atmosphere. And there's no bad blood no matter what happens.
What are you missing right now to get to the next level, whether it's infrastructure or anything in that three this is a three-dimensional question, I admit, but what are you missing to get to the next level of success, however you frame that? What are you missing right now?
I think in my opinion, it's just some of the building blocks in youth soccer. And I'll do that as a bullet over overview. I think some of the developmental stuff that we're doing on a youth level is too late. We're seeing it on the middle school side for sure, just with heading the ball, right? Certain states at a certain age, they can't head the ball. Well, by the time you teach them that in the middle school age group, that's when you're starting to see some injuries and stuff like that. School wise, I mean, I think we have a great talent pool to pull from. Um, I think a lot of kids are playing multiple sports, which is great, keeps them super diverse. Um, I guess different to my time in playing was when you committed to something, you did it. And I think just the way the world is now, they have so many free options to do multiple different sports and they're committed equally to everything that sometimes you might have that, I don't want to say lack of commitment, but lack of desire or lack of energy left because they're spread so thin.
How big a fan of the sport are you these days?
I love it, man. I mean, that's sport I grew up playing since I was 4. Had a collegiate career after it, did a little bit extra after that, and I've been coaching since I stopped playing. So always been a fan, always will be a fan. And that's never going to change.
Where are your allegiances these days?
In terms of
Fandom.
for me, it's the Premier League. I'm a Spurs fan. A lot of people are going to disagree with that. Um, Obviously, growing up, we only used to get the United games, and I didn't want to follow what the status quo was. I kind of just picked something different. But we've had quite a few Americans go through that that system as well. And I think that's probably more so what drew me there. I was a big Clinton Dempsey fan growing up, so you know.
With the World Cup coming to this hemisphere, now technically in Atlanta specifically, it's less than 150 days. What do you anticipate it will mean? And what does it mean coming in, and what do you think it will mean when it's here and then when it leaves?
I think it's great. I mean, I think it's great for the U.S. Obviously, it's a co-host or trifecta host, U.S., Mexico, Canada. I think it's revenue-wise is going to be great. Um, Not exactly as a fan ecstatic about the pricing of what tickets are right now. Um, but I think it's going to be, for some once in a lifetime opportunity to see globally these players on a stage in the U.S. And be able to actually see it live. So I think educationally, if you're a fan of the game, an athlete of the game, or a coach of the game, you need to tune into those. Whether it's on the TV, if you get to go to in person, it's even better. Because I think you're just going to learn a lot just by watching the game, and I think we don't do that enough with the players now. They don't watch enough. Yes, we do film breakdown of what they do, but how many times are they truly watching a game and maybe dissecting sections of a game that they're not involved in and getting their perspective on what they think? Um, so I think again, it's going to be a fantastic. I think once it leaves, we're going to want it back. That's what I think.
And you kind of got into it because I was going to ask you educationally from a coaching and a teaching perspective. What are you looking to kind of get to be in the wake of what you're going to be seeing here in June and July? What do you think you can carry from that you can pull from it from a coaching perspective?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of the game, and we talk about it a lot as coaches. It's all kind of played the same way. Everyone, if you look at the Premier League now, everyone plays pretty much the same system. Not everybody, especially for us, are we going to be able to do that because of just pure ability of the players at the level, and that's no big deal. We have to be able to adapt as coaches to put the players in the best situation to win, right, or be successful and be competitive. So again, educationally, if you're a player that plays midfield, you need to study the midfielders, watch their movements on and off the ball. If you're in the back line, watch the way they communicate because you're going to be able to see them pointing and gesturing and things like that. And I think that's a big piece of it is kids are shy sometimes while they're playing, and this isn't a game that you can play quietly. You have to be able to instruct and take criticisms or take instruction from a teammate or a coach. And I'm not saying shout at anybody, but be able to take that and move on and learn from it.
When you have questions yourself, I guess let me take it two ways. What professional coaches do you look at when you're looking at matches and when you're looking at tape? Who do you gravitate toward as folks that you really do lock into when it comes to the coaching perspective of things?
I don't know that there's one. I mean, yeah, everybody wants to play the Pep's way, right? And that's kind of the big name, right? But not everyone can play that way. You can't go get a kid from Atlanta and tell him, hey, come down to South Georgia and play for me because X, Y, and Z, right? Like, we don't have what he has at his disposal in terms of purchasing players, right? We're in a school system. So I think it's that system is great if you can do it. I mean, I'm a bit more old school, bit more basic when it comes to coaching, right? I grew up playing two strikers. I don't mind two strikers. I'll give it away, but I'll play a 4-3-3, at least with the middle school. And again, it gives you that kind of adaptability where people can interchange and you're not losing anything and you're covered everywhere. So sometimes going back to that, seeing how your team works, and then building off of that, what they're confident with and what they're comfortable with, and then just trusting your players to tell you the truth. I mean, we played 3 games right with the middle school this week, and some good things, some bad things. No worries. I'm not worried about it. 3 games in, we're going to be fine. But I think the commitment of the players and the coaching staff's there, and they're buying into what we're talking about. And I think that's the ultimate goal: is the team collectively has to buy into everything.
So when you have a question,
Yeah.
who's on your speed dial to sit there and go, whether it's stylistically or something at practice or anything like that? Who is on your speed dial that you know is going to pick up the phone so you can have an honest conversation about, well, I've got a question here. Are you running through the same things here? Do you have anybody like that?
Um, yes and no. I mean, obviously Tony at the high school is phenomenal. Been doing it for a long time. my previous college coach still coaching. Um, I also a guy I played club for and high school for back where I'm from in Tampa. If I have any questions, obviously like that, I can pick up on him. But realistically, for me, part of the coaching journey is learning and not necessarily always reaching out, but watching the game back, finding out if, because as coaches, we're going to make mistakes, right? We may sub wrong. We may put a kid in the wrong position because what we see in training versus what they do in a game may be a little bit different. Or, we might have put them in a situation they weren't ready for. So sometimes watching your own game film back, just listening to it and just watching it and seeing how the game flows, you can learn a lot just about you and the team that way. So I think that's something I've done a lot this year via club as well as so far through the middle school season.